you want to come up so they can be recorded? Yeah. Sorry.
Call your name. And then call your name.
I'm calling the cemetery trustee meeting to order.
A second. So, Madam Chair, you have a vacancy in the three-member board of cemetery trustees due to the resignation of Siobhan Watson. The cemetery trustee is an elected position. So in accordance with MGL Chapter 41, Section 11, the 5 select board members and remaining 2 cemetery trustees can meet to appoint the replacement trustee. We were required to post notice in advance to accept applicants. We have 2 applicants this evening. They are Linda McGrail of 136 Sterling Street and Robert O'Connell of 60 Keys Street. Whichever candidate obtains 4 votes between the 2 bodies will be the person appointed through 2024 annual town election, at which time a new 3-year term will be placed on the ballot. I do understand that Mr. O'Connell has a scheduling engagement at 6:30. He has requested to speak first, but that's at the pleasure of the...
Do you want to come forward? If you want to pull up a chair right next to these lovely ladies. Barbara doesn't bite. Tara, sorry.
It's okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So can you just tell us a little bit about why you're running?
As a lifelong member of the community, I've always found the cemeteries to be a center point of the community. As a lot of you know, volunteerism is in my blood with participating in other town functions and so forth. So when I saw that the town was unfortunately in the position of needing to fill a vacancy, I certainly wanted to put my name forward for that. Any way I can help the community in that respect. I see the cemeteries as a member of the historical commission also. The cemeteries are obviously a focal point of our committee, and just again, if I'm seen as a candidate that can help fulfill the need of the commission, I'm happy to do so. If there's another candidate who is highly qualified, then that's fine too. There's a lot going on in town and a lot of needs, so anything I can do to support the community and the departments is what I strive to do right now.
All right. I'm going to ask anyone on the board, either board, if they have any questions. Just remember, any question we ask this candidate, we have to ask the next.
Bob, is there anything positive you need to say about the cemetery, our town cemetery?
What was the beginning of that?
Anything positive about the cemetery? And if you want to make any changes or anything need to be changed in the cemetery?
I can't identify anything specifically. I do visit. My father's interned there, and someday it will be my place of rest also, and my wife's. Certainly, I know it's a large focal point for the community when it comes to exercise, dog walking, which I know is sometimes a contentious event. Participating in Memorial Day exercises, the overall appearance of the cemetery certainly seems not to lack for attention, between, the crew, that's working on it and so forth. I know that the committee and the town is looking at more land for another cemetery and so forth. I'm not fully abreast of what that complete package is looking like, but certainly having, worked in land acquisitions and stuff like that, certainly I saw another opportunity of potentially adding value that if maybe another candidate can't, but not knowing the other candidate.
Thank you, Bob.
Any other questions, folks? Cemetery? Board? Do you want to go first? Do you want to ask me?
I was just wondering if, we are in the process of rewriting, revamping, recreating the rules and regulations for the cemetery that hasn't been done for a long time. And times have changed. Everybody isn't buried the same way anymore, and we need to do some big changing. Do you have any background or skills that might help us rewrite those?
Certainly from a writing perspective, I think more I bring a common sense approach and a perspective, a devil's advocate perspective to anything that comes about. I do have reasonable writing skills, but I'm not gonna say I type 100 words a minute or anything like that. But, more a layman's approach to, how things could get done, and also, I live by the motto of if others are doing something, they're a good resource to see how things are being done from, like I said, rewriting rules, but comparing those to other rules and regulations that others might have instead of recreating the wheel
Right,
necessarily.
we are doing that. Also, we meet in the daytime. And we plan to continue meeting in the daytime. I don't know if that would have any effect on your,
No, it doesn't. I have work-life balance. I sold my company back 5 years ago, so as my activity on the fire department and so forth, basically, unless it's in Maine, we're, basically, retired from that standpoint.
all right, good.
Yep.
Also, we, in the past, through today, we reorganize every year, because there's only 3 of us. So if you were to get this appointment, it would be your turn to be the secretary, which means minutes and agendas and things. And unless we change things, we rotate it through the year.
I am familiar with the process. I've been the chair of the town naming committee, the cable advisory committee, so I'm aware of the process. Certainly haven't had to dictate the notes, take dictation of the notes and so forth, but I'm aware of town meeting policies and so
Okay,
forth.
good.
All right. Anyone else? No? All right, well, thank you so much, and thank you for being patient through our technical difficulties.
Sorry to have to buzz out, but we have
No
training in
problem.
Boylston, so,
Okay, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. All right, Linda? Welcome to the wonderful chair. I wrote down the questions to keep everyone here honest, too. Would you like to tell us anything about yourself and why you're running?
Why I'm running?
While you're applying?
The cemetery is like my second home, so would I keep my home? I would keep the cemetery. I'm there all the time. My husband's buried there, my parents are buried there, and I will be there at some point also. It's a wonderful place. It's beautiful. I like to keep the tenor of the way it is in terms of people being able to use them to exercise and to just have this, it's a very neighborhoodly feeling being there. I think that I can bring some things to the table. I do have a law degree, and I am familiar with rules and regulations and how to deal with things, and I ran my own law firm for a number of years, so administratively, I think I'm up on that also.
Do you want me to ask all the questions, or you want to ask?
It's the same question for you.
I think the cemetery is beautiful, and I think that they do keep it up very well. I do see some compliance issues in terms of some of the graves are getting a little overgrown and things that really maybe need to be cut back a little and dealt with them. I would rather see that happen sooner rather than later, but that would be my one concern.
Are you looking up to any changes in the cemetery?
Well,
That's my second question.
The second question, changing the cemetery, I think that, yes, there probably should be some things that are updated, because as Barbara said, things, people bury differently. There's a lot of cremations, and now the new big thing coming out is green burials. I don't know how we're gonna deal with that, but those are things that need to be addressed at some point.
Okay. Anyone else? No, you didn't ask. Barbara, it's on you. Oh, no.
No,
Barbara, it's on you.
Okay.
Sorry, Mark was trying to confuse
I
me,
said-
caught me off guard.
Sure.
about us updating the rules.
Oh, right, okay.
I was gonna say, so, one of them is, they're revamping and relaunching the rules and regulations of the cemetery. Do you have any background in that type of work? Listen, I did this for a reason, because I read my note, and I was like, someone's gonna forget, because I would.
Oh,
And just the law degree, I mean, that opens a lot of areas, so I know how to read regulations, and I know how to write them, and I know what little word means something that another one doesn't, so it shall, it doesn't mean may, different things like that, so I do think that I have
Some
some expertise in that area.
Barbara's other question is, their meetings are in the daytime? Speaking
Yes, I
for
read
Barbara,
during the daytime,
does that work for you?
it does work for me.
It does work for you. Barbara, do you have any other, I don't think you had any other
The last
questions.
one was that we will be reorganizing right away, and typically it's an annual event. We can change it if we want to, but right now that's the way it is. And so, being the newbie, if you got the position, you would also be the secretary and the meeting taker. Is that okay with you?
I have no problem with that. I've done that, you know, when you go into a legal proceeding and you have a lawyer on the other side, you've got to learn to take notes really quickly and be able to present it back. So I don't have any problem doing that.
All right, well, thank you so much. We cannot ask you any more questions because they're not written on my paper.
Okay, thank you.
So, thank you for coming forward.
Can I
Do you-
make a nomination?
Oh, you can, that was gonna be, see if anyone wanted to.
I would like to nominate Linda McGrail as the appointee for the vacant trustee position.
I second that.
Hold on one second, I heard a noise.
Something-
I think we did
July.
something wrong. No? Okay,
Until the next election.
okay, until the next election, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Do we have
Vote?
For the
Oh,
discussion?
discussion?
discussion? Any
I don't-
discussion?
I don't have any discussion points.
Yep,
Do we have to make a nomination as well?
no. We can vote off of her nomination. I'm guessing, though, if that does not go through, we will then, someone else on this board will need to re-motion. So, do you have any input, anything else?
I have one.
Yep.
I think, both the candidates are very good. At the same time, I have seen Linda McGrail. She ran for this election, and also she has a personal connection with the cemeteries. So I do support this nomination.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? I would just say, I don't know Linda. You seem very lovely. I know Bob just from some scattered meetings, and I do think both of them kind of bring a different flavor to things, and I think they probably both would be great. And I hate not being able to put both people on some type of board. I'm like, can you do other things too? But if the trust have to go off of your motion and your understanding, so I also am okay with that motion. I would feel that I'm ready. If there are any other questions, I would say let's start our vote. Mark?
Well,
Yes?
Yes, in favor of that
Yes,
nomination,
of Linda.
and vote to
Yes.
make her, yes.
Coffee, Mark.
Raj?
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Yes.
Congratulations and welcome.
They can
Oh, no, you, yes?
Yes.
Okay,
There you go.
we're done. Thank you very much. Do you want to adjourn your meeting? Oh,
I
Sorry.
adjourn our cemetery
Oh,
trustees meeting.
hold on. All in favor? I thought we just did a roll call vote. That's enough. Okay, sorry.
Just adjourn.
I adjourn the cemetery trustees meeting.
Make sure Linda gets a list of all the other
You
vacancies
second?
for the
Yes.
boards.
You're both all
term
in
too.
favor. Thank you.
Right.
In favor.
If you have other people that would like to join other boards, we have openings too. We have openings. All right, thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Congratulations, Linda.
Congratulations.
She's a
Thank
great
you.
addition to this board. She can take the heat off of you.
All right, so, moving on to new business. So, this agenda item will spark conversation. Consider the location of the semi-annual town meeting. With that said, for the town meeting, it has normally been held in the high school auditorium. There was some discussion about moving it to a different area. But I'm open to discussing that. I don't understand why we would move it from somewhere it's been for years.
Sure, so, do you want me to, Mr. Friedman had his hand up.
Was ignoring him.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Mark. No.
I was just gonna, well, all right, so I read the packet that was given.
You did?
Yes. And it seems that, it comes down to, we're kind of locked in unless there are, what are the words?
Chairs?
No, logistic, or sort of financial impediments that would prevent us from moving to an accessible place. So are there any financial or other impediments that would
So-
prevent us from going there?
So when we discussed this, if you recall, at the Maytown meeting, we talked about moving the location to the senior center. And there was the finding that that would be a burden, an administrative burden, both in cost and feasibility to relocate it to the senior center. I did receive a call from a town resident who said, could you at least move the town meeting from the auditorium to the gymnasium. So there would be challenges at the gymnasium. The challenges would be that, and the reason therefore was that although accessing the building, there are still things that appear on our ADA transition plan. Once inside the building, there's less barriers to the gymnasium as opposed to the auditorium. So the challenges there would be, there's not sound that I'm aware of in the auditorium, in the gymnasium, I'm sorry, so we would need to bring in sound. There is not staging, just like for graduation, so folks can see, we would have to bring in staging for that. And then, in terms of the setting up the seats, I wouldn't say that that could be considered a burden. But per the superintendent, the gymnasium they put up about 300 seats for graduation, and there is the bleachers as well for those that are able to ambulate. We also wouldn't have the screen necessarily available for the PowerPoint presentation behind. That does help folks follow along with town meeting or see any visuals that we're trying to bring. Would have to probably rent something for that as well.
Why would we need staging?
So that the select board and the moderator could be seen from everybody in the
Right
room.
now, the select board is sitting on the floor,
But the moderator's on the stage.
so, I don't know that it doesn't,
Couldn't you, it would be just like when we did them outside, when everybody was on the same
the
level.
moderator doesn't need to be up on the stage,
Okay.
that's just a convenience. Obviously, we need audio,
Audio.
and
Seating.
the screen, but the staging, I think we do without.
Okay.
So,
Can I,
I'm sorry.
Raj is first.
what is the town council's advice?
Town council said that the select board is to determine whether the middle high school auditorium is the only feasible location for town meeting.
Wait, and then they said something about the,
No, hold on,
So,
so you can't read.
so that's the first determination. Is it the only feasible? If it is, then the reason would be that otherwise it would be fundamentally altering a program, service, or activity, or would result in an undue financial or administrative burden. That was the finding with the senior center, that it would result in an undue financial or administrative burden.
So 1 second, I'm gonna let Jay, 'cause Jay did have it next after Rush.
So, yeah, my question was, what would be the cost difference between,
I haven't even explored renting equipment. I can look at what we rented in the past. I think that it's doable within the budget to rent. We might need to do a budget fix for the Maytown meeting because we're using funds now, so it might result in a budget fix, but
The guy who did the outside town meeting charges $200 for the audio, soup to nuts. So, I don't know if he's gonna hold on that price, and whether we would need to rent a screen or not, I'm sure that the school has a projector for a PowerPoint thing, and I would be shocked if we don't have a portable screen somewhere at the school. Do you know, having been on the school
I
committee?
don't. But, to your point,
It's de minimis, it's not a lot of money.
But do we need to rent chairs?
No, the school has them.
All the chairs?
when we did it out in the field, that was the school chairs.
We would need to examine, so it sounds, kind of the discussion here seems more leaning towards the gymnasium. So we would need to just really investigate what the option is for sound, and I'm guessing we actually would have to investigate the cost for recording, right? We would need to make this,
I believe they bring in cameras they bring manual cameras to the,
so it just wouldn't be live or.
it's never
No.
live.
Okay,
Yeah.
What's-
alright. That's my only question.
what is the capacity at the senior center?
Oh geez, I had that, so this,
225, 226?
it's in the twos.
200, yes.
The senior center concern was the parking, that you can't overflow really onto the street as much there. If I recall correctly, the discussion we had.
We struggled with
The Pride Park.
the Pride Park meeting there, and the people outside were upset they couldn't hear, the people out in the hallway couldn't hear, and there just was not enough room in that room. Not for, like, we had people all the way around the building, basically in the front part.
I think the other part of the discussion was that there's certain town meeting voters that are going to autopilot to the middle high school regardless of the notification that we point out that it's been relocated and we were gonna have to stage somebody there, but I think parking was the bigger concern for senior center.
So we have a senior center that can't support a community program because we don't have the space available and the parking is insufficient?
I wouldn't go so far to say that the senior center can't support a community program. I
It's
don't know that the senior
town-
center is the right location for town meeting.
Or, we could say like, this, sometimes, we get 200, 300 attendees of the town residents to attend the town meeting.
Mhm.
So that's a lot of people, but senior center very well accommodate around 200.
And that's chair, that's not a lot of access inside or out.
You have seen the hall, right?
Mhm.
So that's a 200 something. So it may not designed for
Sounds
the big
12.
meetings like this.
I don't think it was, 'cause I didn't think they accounted to have it there.
Should we do a
I'll make a
motion?
motion that we hold town meeting at the gymnasium.
Sorry to interrupt.
Second.
Faye did pull up in her email that although we did receive the low price for the sound previously, that was because it was COVID and he wasn't doing any work for his normal work.
It's going to be-
The quote was $1,200.
From Worcester
Motion.
Sound.
From Worcester Sound.
Still second.
Okay.
All right, a motion is second, any further discussion? No? All in favor for the middle high school gymnasium?
Aye.
Aye. All right. I'm looking out into the crowd and I am actually on new business. I'm going to jump to street acceptance, application, Renew Haas Circle, road acceptance application submitted by Crescent Builders.
What page?
74.
It is page on yours. You already have it printed out.
Oh.
Page 74. It says it on it.
You know. No.
Reading this for a second. Sorry. Jen, I'm looking at this, so we have the attachment here. I know there's been questions about timing on it. I read some of these areas, so I don't want to read this whole section, but I'm going to say it was submitted to the planning board. They did accept this and provided comments that they did send to us.
Sure, so we receive a complete street acceptance package. It was originally submitted on August 8th, and then a full package was submitted on August 21st. The planning board did meet, this was an agenda item on the planning board. Planning board sent the street acceptance materials to VHB, our engineer. VHB has provided comments back. In response to the comments back, the applicant's attorney provided some responses. The package has also been sent to town council for their review. The planning board did vote to put forward, at least as a placeholder at this time, if everything can get ready, a town meeting warrant article. Really, the question before the select board is first, is the select board wanting to waive the Board of Selectmen and Planning Board street acceptance procedures that prescribe that that package needed to be submitted 3 months prior to the town meeting? I did reach out to town council to see if the town could waive their own procedures, and they replied that yes, and that it's quite common that a town would do that. So that's really the first question for the select board. Do you want to waive your own procedures in terms of timing? And then secondly, we'll need to place on the next agenda, the laying out of the street and referring the matter back to the planning board.
Thank you very much.
Do we know why those procedures are in place, or is that boilerplate?
They were adopted in 2009 by the select board and planning board. I don't have any knowledge as to why.
Can I respond?
Yep.
just to convenience of the, we have to receive, the planning board has to receive the applications. Planning board has to, send it to the engineers.
So as to not
attorneys.
create a fire drill.
It's
Got it.
just a,
All right.
yes, just a,
Yep.
we need enough time to hold meetings, hold public hearings, all those things, yes.
Mark, did you have something?
We don't want to refer it back to the planning board today. Is there enough time to get in the hearing? Don't we need to have a posted meeting before the town meeting?
The
Posted.
planning board does not have to have a public hearing on
Oh,
it,
no?
you just
Okay.
need to have a posted meeting.
Okay.
So, just to make sure, we're on the same page, the first one, our board needs to vote to waive our own policy for the timing.
That's my suggestion.
Timing only.
Timing only, that's our first area.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the second matter in front of us is actually making a placeholder for our October town meeting, to have a warrant as long as all the different things have been filed and we have the paperwork that we need.
And then to place on your
Place it.
next agenda, September 20th meeting, the laying out of the street and referring that back to the planning board.
Okay, so I'll say so moved on making the placeholder. Or do we even have to?
No, you don't. It's already been submitted. The article's been submitted by the planning board in time.
So I have a motion,
Second?
Oh,
There's no motion.
No?
No.
okay,
So I
go ahead.
I have a question. I did correspond with one of the residents on Newhart Circle, and while she's purporting to speak for the homeowners, she herself, saying on behalf of homeowners, but they didn't take a vote on that or anything, is looking for the street to accept the town. I asked if there were any outstanding items, and I'll just read what she wrote. Mr. Early has been on record saying that he needs to clean our street, clean out the drainage basins, and perform maintenance on our retention pond. Have those, asking the planning board, have those happened, or are they scheduled to happen?
It's been scheduled to be happen. Just the detention pond has to be cleaned up and the cat basins have to be cleaned up.
When,
It start getting done on 14th.
14th of this month?
Yes.
Okay, so before town meeting, those are gonna be done?
Everything will be
Okay.
done.
I have no other questions.
If there, can I?
Yeah.
If there is any pending issues, we can pass over on the town meeting day. That's the way it is.
has town council said anything? Have they reviewed yet?
No, and there's no guarantee that town council will be able to review this in advance, but they have the materials.
All
He's
right,
been submitting all the stuff. As much as we get back to him,
all right, any other further discussion? All right, thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for going out of order, guys, so I will jump back up to the semi-annual town meeting, page 27 for our internal packet. So the first item on this is to acknowledge a list of warrant articles submitted for the October 16th semi-town annual meeting, including capital requests for considerations on page 28. Just gonna, I didn't wanna have to,
Scroll down a little bit.
yeah.
She's here. I think.
She is here, is that who I'm looking at? No, she's not here.
Vanessa, yes, for the,
That's Vanessa?
no,
Yeah.
for the personnel bylaw change relative to vacation.
All right, so you guys want me to jump again?
Yeah.
You should have jumped
You
earlier.
heard them ask me, so it wasn't me messing this all up, guys. All right. Guess what, Vanessa? Walk right over. We're gonna jump agenda items
All right.
because they're making me. So, not resignation, sorry. So, personal bylaw change relative to section B, vacancies, Vanessa. All right, it's all yours. Just take it away. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm give up on this because now I've messed myself up enough.
So the personnel board does recommend that the select board approves this for the town meeting. I don't know if you need any sort of discussion now, or I can.
Why don't you just give us a
Okay.
summary of it?
So, basically, when posting a job, one of the most, common things is the salary. And if salary is not gonna be, something that can be flexible, then benefits are, 61% of employees claim benefits boosted their job satisfaction. However, a mechanical engineer is not the same as a chemical engineer. So basically, a town clerk from another municipality would bring more relevant experience than an administrative professional from a corporate company. So we believe that offering the same amount of benefits as bringing in, or vacation time as bringing in from previous or other municipalities would be a benefit for somebody coming from that type of industry.
And then
Thank you, sorry.
the other thing that we kind of addressed in this, because this is a joint warrant article between the personnel board and the town administrator. The other thing that we addressed is that currently employees on the first day of the fiscal year, whatever level of vacation they receive, and I'm gonna use 4 weeks in this example, they receive 4 weeks of vacation on July 1st. If they terminate from service for any reason on July 2nd, the town is responsible for paying out those 4 weeks of vacation. Now, this isn't gonna change for folks that are currently in collective bargaining agreements. However, it would apply to all some of the contracts do follow the personnel bylaw in terms of payout. And what we would be doing, in order to not totally upset the apple cart, is doing a monthly accrual, that the accrual starts on the first day of the fiscal year, but allowing employees the flexibility to take vacation time in advance of the accrual. So just as they do now, if you want to schedule all of your 4 weeks of vacation between July 1st and December 31st, that's fine, let them go into the red. But if they terminate service in advance of the accrual, accruing, for lack of a better word, that money of vacation time that they had used but not earned would be owed to the town and would be recouped from their last paycheck. So this is kind of a hybrid approach to move to an accrual so that we don't have those unfunded liabilities if somebody terminates service, but also recognizes what employees are accustomed to. The other changes are in terms of currently employees can carry over 1 week of vacation and buy back 1 week of vacation, but there's no notification time presently by which they need to inform the town, so it can be a bit of an administrative burden at the end of the fiscal year, kind of figuring out who needs a buyback, who needs to carry over. So June 1st notification date for carryover and buyback.
That's gotta really, really be put out to people, because people that have been here for 20 years that are gonna be pissed if they don't know about that.
Right. The final kind of substantive change is that so the vacation times did not change for, 1 to 4 years of service. It previously said 10 days, and now it says 2 weeks, because not quite everybody works 5 days, but they have a work week. So move to a 1 work week, 2 work week, 3 work week, et cetera.
Are we gonna run into the language of that, 10 days, if I work for 4 days, I get 2.5 weeks off? Are we gonna run into, do we have to define what weeks means?
Define what work week means?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, if we're gonna clean it up, let's really clean it up.
Sure. And this still does need to go through the bylaws committee, so we can do some cleanup language, define work week.
Yeah, I think in my past, we did like a Monday through, you must have this in some of the policies, like Monday through Friday, with the exception of holiday or, we actually had to put in like state of emergency days or something ridiculous on some of the policies we have, but I don't think we do that here. I'm looking at Jay, 'cause I'm like, he must have something like this randomly floating around in his head.
Yeah, I've got a few thoughts.
Um,
I'm always, I'm always talking to folks about accruing vacation in terms of how you're compensated. So rather than say, you get a week or you get a day, we should be talking about hours. So if you're accruing time, there should be some formula that accrues time in terms of hours. So if you're paid, if you're working 35 hours a week and the intention is to accrue a day,
per X number of hours.
per X number of hours worked, that should there should be a crosswalk there, and I think this speaks to what we're trying to wrap our heads around. What does a day mean? What does a week mean? An hour is an hour. If you're paid by the hour, you should be accruing hours. You should not be accruing days or weeks.
So right now, the language is prorated, but if you have some examples that you'd like to share, that you think work well in advance of it going to bylaws, I'd be very open to
Yeah,
that, yeah.
I could probably come up with some things there.
That'd be great.
Do you have something?
Well, yeah, I agree with that, because then it solves that week, day, month, whatever problem, because it's just all a 40-hour work week or whatever the work week is what it is. And I'll say it again, that if the idea is to give the person hiring all the skills and tools they have, and we're throwing out the people that are from corporate, not from municipal, I don't like it, but it seems like that's what we do with all the other bylaws.
I'm actually not a fan of that.
What of not having the vacation, increased vacation to a private
Yeah,
or
because
corporate person?
I think at the end of the day, vacation is part of your compensation, and I think I mean, at least my own personal understanding here is that we've trended towards building a market-based compensation program. And if we're gonna specify that this is the table of accruals, is you got a week, you got 2 weeks, you get hours, whatever the increment that we're accruing here. You know, we're already asking, in a tight labor market currently, it's not always gonna be the case, but we're in a tight labor market currently where marketable skills are at a premium. We're asking private sector folks to maybe consider coming to the public sector, perhaps taking a lesser rate. To be sure, they're getting an enhanced retirement benefit, but then to further put the
Just wait.
thumb on the scale, we're gonna say, no, you don't get a vacation accrual that somebody else might because they're shifting. That doesn't feel right to me.
So.
I need
because
some
we-
understanding
Yeah,
as
so
to-
because we have a compensation classification plan and we have the personnel bylaw, we cannot have the full flexibility, like you said, in the monetary. With the vacation time, there are, as the board is aware, a number of folks that can be contracted. And they can move outside of this schematic by being contracted. However, for all those folks that are not covered by the union contracts or by individual contracts that their position allows, there needs to be a bright line rule for vacation time. So we can't have we can't have it be completely discretionary for the folks that aren't able to be contracted.
I get that, but I think I'm making an opposite point. My point is, I think everybody should be coming in on an equal footing, and that means you don't get the credit for coming over from a different municipality.
I just think the reality is that if you're coming over, I'm gonna use one of the positions that cannot be contracted. If you are coming over to be a town clerk, you are not coming, most likely, I don't wanna put a percentage on it, but you are not coming from a corporation. You have worked either as a town clerk in another community, or you have worked your way up as an assistant town clerk. You don't go to college to become a town clerk. And so that's one of the few positions that cannot be contracted.
We only have a limited amount that can't be
Th-
contracted,
so-
because we can't do this with anyone that has a contract or is part of a union, so we only have a handful
So
of
you
folks.
have the administrative assistant level folks. So if we were gonna hire, let's use the town clerk example again, but the assistant town clerk or administrative assistant to the town clerk, if they were coming from another municipality as opposed to private sector, I'm especially thinking about people who are midpoint career, who we want to take their skills and utilize them, and they have to start with zero vacation.
How would those skills gleaned from however many years and municipal government vary or correspond or contrast with the skills that somebody might be getting from a private sector industry? I don't mean, you know, a mom and pop store. I mean, you know, Genzyme. I mean, you know, TJX or whatever. I'm in a high profile, high volume environment. Why would that person not have the skills or the knowledge or the abilities to carry on and train to be something next level?
So somebody that's in the environment you described most likely would be coming into one of the positions that could be contracted.
But that's not what I heard you say. I heard you say that.
As a town clerk.
As a town clerk? Oh, as a town clerk, so there are many statutory requirements that are specific to that office, that are ever changing, that have nothing, you don't learn that until you're here.
So, but
Running elections, certifying votes, the vital records, which are extremely sensitive, who you can give information out to about vitals, who you cannot. It's just not, it's not something that you know anything about unless, I don't know what goes on in the town clerk's office, even though I'm up here. I mean, I know loosely, it's vitals, it's town meeting, it's sort of, it's elections, and it's,
So perhaps I misunderstood. The town clerk could be contracted individually or no?
no, cannot be.
Cannot be,
No.
okay. So that's what I was,
Okay, so there's, right, so there's so town clerk cannot be contracted, administrative level folks, so administrative assistants, department assistants, they cannot be contracted.
Can I just mention, so this is actually a benefit to, I mean, we're not taking anything away, we're adding something.
no, I understand that. What I am thinking about though is recruiting from without, not necessarily, you know, not taking away something from anybody internal, but rather kind of expanding our candidate pool, because what we're doing here is we're kind of putting the thumb on the scale for qualified applicants, saying, you folks,
I just wanna,
you folks outside,
I'm gonna interject because I don't agree with that, just because I would never hire someone from any of the companies listed as our town clerk or one of the administrative roles. First, because unless you've worked in the private sector and then local government, they're completely vastly different. I read these crazy things. But when I realize this is an added bonus, because you do not have it today. So right now we're reviewing something to add this so that maybe additional candidates will come over. What do they have today and how does that change? Just a quick summary, because I feel like we're down a rabbit hole of opening up everything, and that's not what we can do with this petition or this article that's in front of us.
I believe they come in at
Zero.
At zero?
At zero,
Until
so,
6 months, and then, for the first year, they get 1 week.
yeah,
And then from 1 week to 4 years, they get 2 weeks. So if you're coming over from Sterling,
Yep.
and you have been a town of Sterling assistant town clerk for 10 years, you're starting here
with zero.
with 0. At 6 months, between 1 year, you can take a week, and at 1 year to 4 years, you can take 2 weeks.
And this gives us the availability now that we do not have, which is, at least if you come over, we can say we can honor at least your pay, which,
Exactly.
No, your
Vacation.
vacation.
at least honor your vacation.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of the added bonus. No, it's not. I struggle with anyone, I'm gonna use myself as an example. If I applied for a town position, I don't even know what I get for, I have unlimited vacation actually, so I don't actually have a vacation policy with unlimited. I would say I want unlimited. Why? Because I've been in my role and I run an organization of 600 people, so that somehow establishes I can be something here that would matter or make it, like, how would I become equal to someone that's been doing the job for 10 years with that background? Because they're completely different worlds.
I mean, it's
Local
still
government.
Yeah.
It would be hard for me, but I think at least for me, it's a positive because it gives us something instead of zero. I would
Right.
never take a job and you say you're gonna start all over again at zero. I would be like, I'll see you later.
Across the board, I mean, I know, I'm just asking the experience that you guys have had. How many people that have 10-plus years in the corporate world apply for an admin position in a town? I can't imagine there's any.
People at the end of their careers who are looking to, like, for a move from full-time to part-time. We have folks that are in kind of that.
Right on the edge of like retirement,
Correct.
or retired and they can only work, like we had some
Correct.
DPW folks who could only work like
That's
a
my
certain amount of hours.
We did, I know, just anecdotally, when we posted the position, for the administrative assistant, the new position shared between administrative assistant to the Board of Health and Building Commissioner, there were folks, and we hired somebody that did not have any municipal experience, but there were folks that worked either in, like a land management or building or Board of Health setting who did not apply because they would lose their vacation time.
Got it. And just to clarify, so this is an acknowledgement, are we voting on this, or just acknowledge?
This is just to explain
explain.
this particular article.
Are there any other questions on just this, what's in front of us, not opening up
What do
the
we
bylaws?
say, we're okay with the warrant article?
No, that's not for tonight.
That's not, okay.
So just to get what you're thinking of a proposed change, so 0 to actually matching what they have for vacation today, coming in the door based on years of experience and tenure at other positions that are a match
And accrual.
And accrual.
and accrual. Okay. Did you raise your hand now?
Well, I was just gonna agree with Jay about if you're putting tools in the toolbox, why not put all the tools in the toolbox rather than just the tools for the, it's a choice anyways. You don't even have to give this to the municipal person who comes over. You could start them off at 0 if you wanted to anyways, right? I mean, it doesn't automatically carry.
We can discuss this further at the next meeting.
Yeah, I think I'm struggling with the conversation and the
I
confusion of
disagree,
what's in front of
but-
us, so I think either we can add this to the next meeting.
We're gonna have a meeting where we go over the entire bill.
Correct.
Yeah,
So-
That's
so
the
let's,
next
we
meeting.
can add that. Thank you so much, though.
Thank you.
All right. Now, hold on, let me. Don't start. All right, so, looking at this, I know we bounced that one, but so, I see Articles 18,
So we have 18 total articles that have been submitted.
now your standard,
9 are standard.
yep,
And some of the remaining 9 are kind of placeholders at this point.
yep,
So just going through the list, it's the reports of officers, prior year fiscal year bills, the budget fix article, as it's known as, where we make adjustments to the current FY '24 budget, the capital purchasing article. So to pause on this one for a moment, I thought you only had 3, but the superintendent clarified that the special education van is indeed a capital request for the fall town meeting.
okay,
So you have 2 requests from the schools. One is a reupholstering through MassCore of the auditorium seating, where the prisoners actually do the reupholstery. It's a pretty cool program, but it's $58,000. A special education van for $36,000. A tractor for the DPW that would have a outfitted for irrigation, pesticide application, $50,270.50. And the final article is from the Parks Commission to remove 21, I believe, dead pine trees, I'm just scrolling, off of Crescent Street. I'm sure folks are familiar
some.
with those. And it is $26,305. So I had requested that folks not ask for a lot of capital for the fall town meeting unless they really had a pressing need for it, so we would have a better understanding of where we were in May. So that's what we got back, is the four requests. They have not been vetted by Finance Committee as of yet.
and I just have one question on this, and it had to do with the tree removal. Do we have any funds left we put aside for tree removal? No,
No.
I was hopeful on that one, but go ahead.
I do have one question. I know that in the past, so it's, none of the DPW guys, they were not licensed to do the pesticide work. Is there anyone
Yes,
got the license? Oh, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
the Parks lead has licensure.
Good.
So the next regular article is to appropriate funds into our other post-employment benefits trust fund, or OPEB. That's the $100,000 flow through from ARPA. The CPC article for Affordable Housing Trust, $25,000. Tax levy stabilization, this is the marijuana tax. Currently, we have $128,612. We'll be receiving one more payment on September 30th. So that is the amount, those two amounts combined, whatever that September 30th payment is, that will be transferred. I want to pause on this one if I could, just for a moment. There was a lot of conversation at the last fall town meeting about that this was an ill-advised idea, or the town should use this money for something else. This is a special purpose stabilization fund, and when a special purpose stabilization fund is created, it cannot terminate for 3 fiscal years. So at this point, this is essentially a requirement that we continue to flow these monies in, or out of the into the tax levy stabilization fund, and then this vote is voting it out to reduce the tax rate. The earliest that somebody could repeal this was FY25. So just in case that comes up again at the fall town meeting.
Could you just put a note of that, and then also, is there impact here, knowing what we know about, I believe there was something sent over about the stabilization, that how that was gonna be done in the future years? I'm trying to look at.
I mean, the cannabis control was changing the way they let your bill.
So
Yeah,
that's
'cause
the
that would
host,
feed
so
this,
there's
right?
2 different fees that we receive. We receive the host community
Yep.
fee. That's where there's an effect. This is the tax.
Okay,
So this.
we'll still stick with this,
We'll
we
still
just
stick with
lose
this.
that.
What we
Okay.
are seeing, though, is that this number started low, spiked, and now as the
Is-
market saturated, it's
Yeah.
going down.
And that's the reason why I said we need to do this, because I did not want us to start relying on this money when the prices are gonna go down, and I know people are saying that this, oh, this money could be used for this, that, or the other thing. I think this is a wonderful use of this money. Give it back to the taxpayers, let them decide what they're gonna do with it. If people want more stuff in town, they can petition for an override to raise their taxes. But this is literally taking money that is collected for sales tax and lowering your property taxes. So, the same people that are saying this is foolish are gonna complain when we have to bring forward an override in the next year or 2. Watch. You'll see the same people complaining about the override, that their taxes are too high, but don't want this.
All right,
All right.
keep going, thank you, Pat, for your input there.
Don't be
So the
emotional.
next standard article is to move money into the capital investment fund. Again, I want to see where we're at with free cash where we're at by fall town meeting, but see what we need to do with free cash for budgetary season. I am not sure how, I'm suggesting that the capital items that we do vote to approve at the fall town meeting, we just do a direct appropriation from free cash to support those items, and that we don't put any money into capital investment fund, but at this town meeting, and that potentially do it in May. I think we'll see what the motion is under this article when we get recommendations from Finance Committee and Capital Investment Board, but if they fund an item out of the capital investment fund, then I would suggest that the motion would be to replenish the fund by that same amount.
And I would like to see, I know it's semantics, but we could take just use a number, you could take $100,000 out of free cash to fund capital. I would rather fund the capital out of capital and take the $100,000 and put it back into capital. It's a redundant vote, but it's a 2/3 vote of the town, and it's the way the mechanism is supposed to flow.
All right, so the next is our regular stabilization account. I am not recommending that this is a standard article. I'm not recommending that we even put this on the warrant at this point, but, because again, I'm not planning to put anything into stabilization. Our stabilization account currently has 1.67 million, representing 5.57% of the operating budget. DOR recommends between 5 and 15%. We're doing okay, and I just want to see what we need that free cash for before we put it away for stabilization. This is a stabilization account. This type is a rainy day fund that you go to if really something catastrophic happens.
2008 ice storm.
Yeah, exactly.
Can, before you move on to that, and I have one question, it's about the CPC, the $25,000, and the funds usually designated to balance for affordable housing. This is one that kind of, I sit and think, it's a small amount of money. Is this regularly used? It's not being, I know we use some to do a new inventory, but every year we're putting $25,000 into this. And I'm just wondering if we're looking to not fund under other things, is this money needed, and have they provided you with what this money is going to be used for over the next year?
So they actually provide that information to CPC, so.
I can answer that question for you. So,
Okay.
this is, the CPC has to be used for three things.
Yep.
10%, so, big picture, the CPC is a voluntary tax. We have a 2% surcharge on our property taxes. Goes into a pool of money, 10% of it has to be used for affordable housing, 10% of it has to be used for historic preservation, 10% of it has to be used for open space. The other 70% can be used for any of those three things or recreation. So the Affordable Housing Trust has, we're probably going on a decade, or close to a decade, $25,000 goes in every year. They're approximately $150,000-ish dollars.
I'm thinking of, yeah.
That's what's in there, that's what the Affordable Housing Trust has. It could be 125, could be 175. That's what they have sitting there right now. They have a firm that does ongoing affordable housing compliance for the affordable housing units in town. You can't buy an affordable housing unit and then rent it out as a rental property. It's not allowed. That's one of the many things they do. They're also always looking for and evaluating spaces that can potentially be used for more senior affordable housing. So, no, they're not using the $25,000 regularly, but it really can't go towards anything else. It has to be, it's coming out of the 10% pot of the CPC that is dedicated and must be used for affordable housing purposes.
Okay, that was mine. Thank you, Pat. Calm down. No, I just looked, no, you're totally in right.
Totally calm on
I
that.
was thinking, more just on the path we've gone with the affordable housing for seniors and generating that, and then simple, just recently going through the process, so you can't just say it's for seniors, because that's age discrimination, and it's actually not legally allowed any longer. Even, AARP was sued, so I'm like, how are we still justifying that, knowing that it actually goes against federal law at this point to say we're identifying an age group? I would just say it's actually, we keep saying this, and I keep trying to push people, you cannot say this to people any longer. It's like the senior center. You cannot turn away any age group from the senior center. It violates federal law, and that's the reality of what you're at. But we keep saying it, thinking West Boylston now it's its own country and makes its own laws. That's really where we're at. The
Yes,
laws and regulations
I know what
around
you're
this.
saying, yes. So,
But that was my thought on, have we gotten
like
any
I said,
better
right,
at
the
this?
money has been used mainly for 40B compliance, which is just
The housing,
straight up
yep.
affordable housing.
Okay. Dude, you're laughing, you have a question? No, you're not.
If it is a country,
We're our own country. I'm gonna get border patrol. All right, sorry, continue on. You gotta
Okay,
have a little fun.
so
We're gonna
those
break it up a
are
little bit.
8 standard items. The next date, you have the Newha Circle Road acceptance.
Yep.
You have the MBTA zoning bylaw. I just got the language today, so you have that now in your packet on the side. CMRPC prepared the language for that. this one item tonight, the select board, and I don't know if you want to do it now, you need to refer this item back to the planning board for them to hold a public hearing in advance of town meeting in accordance with chapter 40A.
Do I have a motion based
So
on
moved.
that? So
Second.
moved. Second? All in favor? Aye.
Excellent. All right, next,
Boom.
Great job.
through the MBTA zoning.
She didn't think it was gonna be that fast.
I
You just
didn't.
Clicking.
Okay.
She's lost.
The next article is, if you recall, when Weston and Sampson and the DPW director were here before talking about MS4 permitting, we had kind of a bylaw change and then the bigger MS4 permitting. This is the one that they have decided didn't get a lot of comment when it went through Conservation, Planning Board, and Select Board, and it's a bylaw regarding discharges to the drainage system.
Yep.
And that's a general bylaw. So all bylaws that are not zoning will be referred to Bylaws Committee for action. Okay, the next one is in the FY24 budget, a department assistant position was created or funded in the Department of Public Works. This position needs to be placed on the appropriate grade of the personnel bylaw. So it's to place that position at grade D. Personnel Board has already approved. Another application from the Community Preservation Committee to increase the administrative expense line from $7,500 to $16,750. This is one that I put forward because I thought we already had it, and it's acceptance of general law, commonly referred to as, thank you, Mr. Frieden, the Mullins Rule.
There you go.
He asked about it, and I said, oh, what is that? So this is where if you are on a adjudicatory board and there's a public hearing that takes more than one night, and you are a member of that board and you miss one of the meetings, you can review the video and participate and swear that you have reviewed it and participate in
Active discussion, the next one.
the active discussion,
And still be able to vote.
still be able to vote.
I'm actually surprised that it's not. I thought that, I was under the impression we already done it.
Okay.
Because it can stall.
It was actually Mr.
Planning board
McNally
things.
that said
Yeah.
that we did not have it, so I
Oh, is it?
appreciate that. Treasurer collector, so there are, in the general bylaw, there are two sections under treasurer collector that are looking to be addressed here. One is it says that the treasurer shall only pay items by bank check, and that is not true. We also pay by wire, so it's to add wire.
I
And
like
then-
bank check. Let's keep it paper.
And then there is a restriction on the treasurer collector's statutory ability to invest, that she needs to obtain permission from the town administrator to invest the town's funds, so it curtails her statutory authority, so it's to remove that provision. We already talked about the vacations bylaw. We have a placeholder right now from the DPW. I don't know if this will actually make it to the fall town meeting, but I would expect it potentially in May. And this is relative to private trees that endanger public or private property. So if there is a tree on private property, a mechanism by which the tree warden could, that is endangering either a neighbor or public property, a mechanism by which the tree warden could force the removal of that tree.
Can you,
Go up, sorry.
I was gonna say, can you get, there's wording for the light department, because this happens with poles and stuff.
Okay.
So I love recreating the wheel, but you might just wanna see that they have certain things. I think they mail letters to the home, like there's a certain step process that they're already doing in town for residents. It should align at
The
some
light
point.
department will take the trees down that are encroaching on the wires off of private property.
They cut them back. This
Right.
is anything like the big ones where they say you have one 10 feet into your property in the middle of it is dead and it is a danger and can fall.
And they force the homeowner to pay for it?
So there's like a
Okay.
process of letters and stuff, and if you don't and something happens, they also state in it, like, you are responsible, we will charge you to fix the poles, the wires, or any substantial financial things that happen. Something like that if you do not act upon it.
Do they do the work or contract?
I think
I think they do the work.
they do
They
the
have a
work.
bucket truck.
Yeah, they have like a thing.
Yeah.
I know this because someone said something to me, and I should ask the person that I might live with that might know, but I refuse to do that, so I'm just gonna say you should do that.
This is to force the homeowner to take it down at the homeowner's expense and so on.
And if they do not, that the town
Yeah, they
could
add it
contract
to-
to have it
And add it
removed.
to their property tax bill and all that good, but
Yep.
not, okay.
You like that now,
And the
don't you?
town, so if the town was removing the tree and it was a very large tree, we don't have a bucket truck, so we would be contracting that out. And that is it. So those are the 18 warrant articles. The planning board's article has been sent back now. At the next meeting, I anticipate that we will be approving the final warrant.
That is exciting.
One-
Go ahead.
One alibi.
Yep.
The 26,000 for the DPW for tree removal, do we have to get 3 bids on that? Is this, because this is,
Yes.
okay, so that's not the final price?
Correct. So is there, I guess I would ask of the board through the chair, is there any of these articles, just like you heard from the chair of the personnel board today, any articles that you would like to hear or dive into more with the proponent of the article at the next meeting?
I just want to touch base with the people doing the MS4 stuff and see what they think about, if they have made any of the changes I asked for. It doesn't look like they did.
So
I can
that,
contact them.
that's a different bylaw? This is.
Yeah, I'll do it through planning
there's-
board if you want.
Yeah, there's two, so there's the discharge bylaw. I think your changes are about the one that is not on this town meeting.
Right, but it's involved with this one. I mean, it's related.
I don't think is it on this warrant?
It's not
No.
on this
Yeah,
warrant.
so it wouldn't be involved in this round
The
of town
discharge
meeting.
thing, that is the discharge thing.
No.
There was, I don't believe so. I
Okay,
think it was the other, there's another one that is not ready. I believe, if I'm remembering right, it's that
oh,
one.
no, there are a couple, and there's guidelines that
And
they're working on.
I think that that's where your recommendations were, and I would suggest that that go through the planning board as opposed to the select board.
Okay, and then you were talking about, I have another one, about the capital requests from the school, about the vans, actually about all the capital requests from the school. They seem to designate the fund it's coming from. They say capital investment fund or free cash for the reupholstering. I mean, I like the reupholstering one, but are they the ones, how do they make that decision?
So those are their recommendations when they submit them, so that's where they think, like, for example, if they knew that they were having it partially grant funded, or they had some other source that indicate that, ultimately, Capital Investment Board
Makes that
makes the
determination.
recommendation.
And all of our people submitting those put something, that's a standard field, so
Yes,
every
it's a
capital
standard.
request has that.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, and I'm just advocating for the ARPA money that we're still trying to hold back for and keep in our kitty so that we can pay for the parks when they run out of money.
Oh, I have plenty of ways to use that.
I know you want to get rid of it, and I'm just afraid that we're gonna get rid of it and get jammed
No.
up.
All right, good
So I
point,
didn't want that one to be one of the sources.
The only other one that I would like some more information about, and I apologize for not sending it sooner, is the DPW. Please hold. The DPW tractor, and the reason I did see what they had. I'd like to know, has this actually been in use? When was the last time it was used? And what would be, I haven't seen this in a very long time, and I was told 3 years ago it wasn't working.
Do you want that before the select board, or that's very much vetted out in finance committee and capital investment board? Do you want me to let you know when they're meeting, and then you can attend
Yeah,
that
if
meeting?
you wanna send that,
Okay.
that works too. I'll do it
Okay.
that way.
Actually, I did have a question related to that about the ARPA rewording one, that it was crossed off.
Crossed out.
We're not
Yeah,
there
so
yet.
that's already, so,
That's gonna be the easy one.
That's an easy one.
Just remove the word Toro.
Does it change the amount? That's what I was confused about. No, okay.
what?
Okay, keep going.
We're not there yet.
Yep.
Next agenda item.
No,
So, okay, so I'll let the board know when the capital investment board finance committee is meeting to discuss these four. I know that you want more on, more language from MLP But is there anybody else that you want to actually physically come in to
No.
discuss their article?
Well, I don't, no?
Okay, thank you. It's kind of a boring warrant. I hope we can get a quorum. Sorry to say.
Add something spicy to it, you'll get people. So the next one I have under new business actually is amend the ARPA appropriation from DPW Toro Ground Master Mower to DPW Mower. That's the one you're talking about, I think, right?
I hope so,
Yeah,
because there was a
okay.
tractor and then another tractor, and I just wanna make sure we're.
So this one here, it does look like originally it was crossed off. This one here, so on April 27th, 2022, we authorized a Toro Groundmaster mower. Sounds awesome, by the way.
That's not good.
The board voted to increase the authorization to expend $40,600 to $43,029. Despite the increase, the DPW director is having difficulty obtaining this item and has not made many in that manufactured year. So my question is, we did this in 2022, it's now 2023, we can't find one.
Yep.
There's not many. What is the situation if we wait another year on this?
So he has another company that he had come out and demo a comparable product. And he's looking at other comparable products. They are just not
In the price
Toro Groundmasters.
Okay,
So he's looking for something that is not a Toro Groundmaster. And those are available.
Okay, we're not running into we're not gonna spend this money and time problem, are we?
Not yet.
no.
Okay.
No, those clawbacks at the federal level seem to be off the
It was,
radar for right
I'm
now.
worried about the earmark time limit thing.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Nope.
All right, so we don't need to do anything on this one, right? Or are we gonna take a vote to amend this article to remove Toro Groundmaster? And
Correct.
just say DPW mower?
Correct.
So moved.
And leave the amount
Second.
alone.
And
Oh,
leave-
we're
Second.
voting, this isn't, we're doing that?
Second.
Okay, so the discussion is there was a vote to amend what the board authorized to take out the words Toro Groundmaster and just make that DPW mower, same amounts, so you're still between 600 and 43,200. I have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? You're good? Good. All in favor?
Yeah, no.
Oh, no, you're lying. All right, go
So what
ahead.
is the DPW mower? They have a mower, they have a company?
DPW.
Mower for DPW, maybe.
Do you want to?
How about
we would need you-
comparable to Toro Groundmaster?
Yeah.
All right, so do we want to withdraw the motion to change it?
I mean, we all know what Kevin is looking to do.
Just a technically.
I trust the guy, he's looking for a Toro Groundmaster, he's looking for $43,000 for mower, he's not gonna go buy a $2,000 push mower with this money. He's gonna,
I think he's saying it's not a brand, it's almost like
DPW
DPW
mower.
sounds like a brand.
It's just
I
an
think-
adjective.
So can we say just a mower?
Yeah, so if you can
Mower for
withdraw-
DPW.
He's saying
withdraw,
instead of a
Got
DPW
it.
mower, a
Okay.
mower for DPW.
so just.
Just mower for a
We just wanna
DPW.
say, change it to just lawnmower.
lawnmower.
For
No,
DPW.
DPW, a mower
Mower.
for the DPW.
Yeah.
Alright, that's what I amend my motion to.
I amend my second.
Well, I think
Well, I
you
amend my
seconds,
second.
you amend your second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That was a good
Sorry.
end of the cover. No, that was fine. All right, so we've made it all the way through. Our next one is, I don't even,
Amendment.
hearing,
Aye.
nope,
We're passing the law.
IMA for the public health services.
yep, it is. So the amendment, agreement for the city of Worcester for certain public health services? Is that
Correct.
the right one? Okay, sorry,
So this
got ahead of
one,
myself.
the board may recall that you had voted to execute an IMA back in June.
Yep,
So when Shrewsbury specifically had it, they wanted to make a change to it. So that change went back and forth between Shrewsbury and the city attorneys. And the goal is to really have all the three IMAs be the same. So the change is actually a benefit to the member towns, and it's just in the termination provision. I provided details to the board, but previously there was a 90-day termination period required if either party wanted to terminate. It's page 122. If during that 90-day period, they didn't they had to mediate, then if there was no resolution, there was another 30 days. So this actually allows flexibility, allowing termination for convenience of 60 days, and then termination for cause, that there is still a mediation period. So instead of having us have a further amendment to ours, and it was never fully executed, what I'm asking the board to do this evening is to rescind the vote they took on June 21st, 2023, and vote to enter into the IMA as it is before you this evening with the city of Worcester.
One motion or two?
One is fine.
I make a motion to rescind the vote taken on June 21st, 2023, to enter into an IMA with the city of Worcester, and to vote to enter into the IMA that is in this evening's agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Oh, no, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next item, hearing authority for dangerous / nuisance dog complaints. Very excited about that one. All right, so this was a new one, and new for me on the select board, because this had never been brought to my attention that this would come, and I have some personal feelings on both sides of this. So currently, there are procedures for handling barking dogs or dangerous dogs, we're gonna say, in the town. I do see that we've attached here MLG Chapter 140, Section 157. The question we have before us is the hearing authority. So what I am told is historically the town administrator had served as the dog hearing officer. And I'll be honest with you, I had no clue that was an actual thing. Sounds like a great job. So MGL Chapter 140, Section 136A states the selectman of the town or the person charged with the responsibility of handling dog complaints in a town or a city. So that's great. So it's a selectman, so it's not me. Right? No. Okay, fine. So you've gone to look at some guidance from KP Law. You've also given some suggestions, we would say. I know you probably were here from prior, so why don't you give us a little bit of what your thoughts here are?
Sure. So I know that historically the TA has been the dog hearing officer. I could not find a vote designating them as such. So not to say that it didn't happen, but I wasn't looking through every set of minutes historically. So I think that I've experienced in my previous community where the select board was the hearing authority for dog hearings. I think that both have pros and cons. So essentially, if somebody complains about a dangerous or nuisance dog, there needs to be somebody that causes an investigation. So if the select board is the hearing authority, you wouldn't be meeting on the merits of it first. You'd be meeting first to take the complaint and to cause the investigation. Then you'd have a future meeting and it's done similar to a court proceeding, as closest to that we have that I'm aware of, where parties are all sworn in, a third party swears them in, and to tell the truth. And you question the complainant, the dog officer, the dog owner, witnesses, and you make a decision. The hearing authority makes a decision of one, whether the dog is a nuisance dog, if it was complained of as being a nuisance or not. If it was complained of as being a dangerous dog, you make a decision whether it was a dangerous dog or a nuisance dog. If a dog is deemed dangerous, the statute is very specific. There's a list of things which you must choose from. You have to do something if it's a dangerous dog, the most extreme of which is euthanization. So doing it in this setting before the select board certainly gives a level of formality to folks. It also gives a level of transparency, but it also can sometimes be very embarrassing or sad for the owner of the dog. I think that when you have a situation where the dog's behavior can be curtailed and you're not at the extreme of euthanization, that having 5 individual perspectives, you can come up with a really good solution and recommendation. Just there's more thought of, well, what about a fence? What about whatever the case may be? I think that having it done kind of behind closed doors, so to speak, or not in a select board meeting, you could potentially have somebody be more truthful in that type of setting. And also the time between, because I would not, if I was the hearing officer, I would not have to first meet to order an investigation. I would just cause the investigation upon the complaint. The time between the hearing would potentially be shorter between the complaint and the hearing. But it's for anybody that has to do a dangerous dog hearing, especially when it's a serious bite, it's not an easy position.
So, seeing this, I did a little bit of homework, because I actually was shocked, and I'm like, I have no clue what you do with this, and I've never seen this, but, so I did go out and look at a few different boards that actually participate in it, and it's just not easy in a board setting like this. One of them, we won't say a town unknown, there was someone on the board that just didn't like that person, that other person. There was a problem between, and something like this came forward, and it was very contentious, and there should have been like an, hey, step down.
Person
But
should have recused himself in that case.
right. There was also some serious bites, and I think of one of the things actually used to be by a complex down now by our jail, where there was a hotel, and there were 2 pit bulls outside of that hotel, and that person wasn't very nice to them, and we had to send, I didn't know it was the town administrator, but I think the police had to show up several times for what was happening to those dogs, and then what those dogs were doing to other people. I really struggle with this one, just because the thought of me voting to put down someone's dog seems
That's-
outside of my, I'm voting to kill someone's, in some cases, child, because
But at
that's
the-
how they refer.
I agree with you, I don't want to be in that position, but the thing is, somebody has to do it. At least if it is the town administrator, that one person, whereas in this setting, we have 5 members.
Yeah.
Some member feel this way, some member may be feeling differently, so we can always discuss and make a right decision. Also, do we have to televise this? We don't have to televise, right?
No, you could certainly decide to do a special meeting
Yeah.
for these, that you weren't gonna have it on Zoom and you weren't gonna televise it.
Yeah.
And then only the folks that would be present in the room would see it.
How, I also thought, and I liked a little bit of a mix instead, where it had, I know the town administrator solely did it before, but maybe a breakup where the town administrator potentially could order the investigation, do the upfront work, work to maybe have those meetings, but then when it comes to making a decision in those cases where it's, we have found, the investigation has found X, Y, and Z, and at this point, kind of like how we do other things, that gets brought in front of us to make the decision of what we're going to do about it, if it can't be rectified by, because to be honest, you could get someone that says, Jane's my neighbor, she got a dog, I don't like dogs, and the thing is barking. That's gonna come to us versus the upfront areas go there, and then you, bring to us the ones where it is found that the dog is a nuisance or a danger, and have that part come
So
to us.
the finding does have to be made by the hearing authority. But so that particular yes, it is a nuisance, yes, it is a danger,
Yep.
it has to be
But-
made by the hearing authority. Certainly delegating the cause, if a complaint comes in, I cause the investigation, that 100% could be delegated.
So the animal control officer goes out and he does investigate, right?
He does, so, I bring this up because I think that there is a nuisance dog complaint potentially coming.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you go, because I know you've been trying, sorry.
No, well, I guess what I'm thinking is what happens in the in-between time? From the time this hearing where this investigation starts to some determination?
I think it depends on the circumstances. So a nuisance dog that's just barking, probably nothing. A dog that lunged at somebody and didn't bite somebody, nothing. But a bite, we don't have a kennel, but the animal control officer would likely seize that dog.
And how frequently does this?
I
Has this
looked
ever
back and the last bite was 4 to 5 years ago, I think.
No.
Longer than that?
No. When Nancy was there,
2019.
when Nancy was there, yes, there
But
was an
it was
incident.
2019.
There was an incident.
So, but,
So,
go ahead.
well, it sounds like the pro might be more accountability for the select board and for those involved in the process, and the con might be politicization of the process.
I have personally witnessed dog hearing where two dogs were ordered to be euthanized, and you had every select board member in tears, and you had the chief of police and lieutenant of police nearly in tears because of the situation. So they can be very emotional, and I think the idea of putting it not on camera
Good.
is a good idea. Where you have the whole room filled for another issue, and here's somebody it's just a difficult in a very public setting to have your dog be ordered to put down.
But ours is also meeting minutes, where this would not be. So ours is always going to be discoverable meeting minutes, your name, your address, your dog's name, the results of that hearing, the process is all going to be online forever, really, in some cases, sorry, dog.
Do we have one of those meetings with the earlier town administrator and the dog hearing?
Do I have notes from them? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what
There's
happened,
files on them.
back in 2019, Jen and I were at a meeting together last night, and we briefly touched on this, she said, no, we did that, and that wasn't true. What happened was, Nancy or the animal control officer, a hearing was done outside of us, and there were steps, you must do this, you must do this, you must do this, and every single thing that this person was supposed to do, didn't do it. Then, it came time to make the decision, they're not following the rules, this dog is getting out and biting people. Then it came before the board, and this board, people who are on this board, took a vote to have that dog euthanized. So and from that time that happened until the time it was supposed to happen, thankfully, the person, well, or maybe not, because I don't know what
No,
happened.
they removed the dog.
They left town, so that, although we ordered it, that never happened. So if there's a barking dog complaint, that's crazy to have the 5 of us come in for a
Exactly.
barking dog complaint.
Yep.
But if it gets to the point where a decision has to be made to euthanize a dog,
But
I think that should come
So-
before.
I agree, but barking dogs, the animal control officer goes there, and he is the one making, talking to the owner and,
Right, but if we're gonna start having hearings on what to do about a barking dog, it's gonna,
It's
up
just
to-
people just aren't gonna complain. It's not gonna make anything, solve any problems.
it's
People aren't gonna wanna
it's
come in
gonna
and say.
lengthen the time to fix any problems.
So a suggestion could be that the statute defines a dangerous dog and the statute defines a nuisance dog. And on the online form, which I put on the website following the statute about nuisance dogs and dangerous dogs, they have to indicate whether they're complaining about the dog being a nuisance or whether they're complaining that it's dangerous. So we could say that the hearing authority for all complaints about nuisance dogs
Yep.
goes to the town administrator, and dangerous dogs, real quickly, dangerous dog, it's pretty severe. Without justification, attacks a person or domestic animal causing physical injury or death, or behaves in a manner that a reasonable person would believe possesses an unjustified imminent threat of physical injury or death to a person or a domestic or owned animal. So if we want to draw the line between dangerous and nuisance,
I like that.
I like that, because I also think the reality is, reading what was sent to us, there's a section here that says, within 10 days after a certain thing happens, we would have to convene a meeting, get here, have a meeting, and then 10 days after, order issued under this section to actually inclusive of the owner or keeper of the dog may bring a petition, but we would have to like act on something. I don't, not that we aren't great, 10 days is gonna be, none of you plan a trip that's 2 weeks long. But do you know what I mean? Like, that's the reality, so I think the breakup there helps with the difference of nuisance versus dangerous. It also gives, because I imagine if they don't agree with what they have to you, they based on this, can petition
The
to
courts.
disagree or to go to the court. So I'm thinking it might be I think this, let's see how it works with that approach. And if it doesn't work, then we're gonna know pretty quick with this first nuisance order that's gonna come.
So upon a complaint, just to reiterate, upon a complaint, regardless of it being dangerous or nuisance, the town administrator shall cause the investigation, not have the meeting to cause the investigation. And that, if it is a dangerous dog, that's heard by the select board, and if it's a nuisance dog, it's heard by the town administrator.
I like that.
I like that.
I like it, but I do have another questions.
Sure.
Say if the select board determines the dog has to be euthanized, so what is the appeal for them?
They
go to
have,
CBA
10
no,
days to
they
the
have
court.
rights to go to the court.
court?
I guess one other thing is, what if they come to us and say it's a dangerous dog and we're like, this isn't a dangerous dog, this is somebody overreacting?
You make the finding that
Yeah.
it's not a danger, so if they complain of it being a dangerous dog, you can say it's not dangerous, but it's a nuisance, so you can drop down to that lower level.
But
or
then we
you-
would get rid of our meeting and send them to you, or could we finish the thing?
You could just finish it and just say it's either it's a nuisance or it's nothing.
So, I mean, a complaint may come in that this dog is dangerous because it's barking and keeping me up at night. I don't think that should come before, like,
Yeah,
I,
to read the merits.
yeah, I think the town
Yeah.
administrator should make the decision, no, this person is saying it's a dangerous dog, but based on the facts and circumstances of this complaint, it can't be deemed a dangerous dog if this is what it did.
So the town administrator to make the determination
To review
that
the
it doesn't
determination.
fall within the definition of dangerous based on the complaint and treat it as a nuisance.
Right.
But isn't that what causing the investigation involves? I mean, you might get something that says it's dangerous, but clearly it doesn't meet the definition. Based on what was submitted, it doesn't
You
meet that
still bring it
definition.
forward for the hearing, so you still would.
Sure.
But that makes sense. I mean, if it comes in as dangerous, just, oh, go investigate. And the guy comes back and says it's a chihuahua and it peed in his yard. This guy's just pissed, you know?
Right.
And so you come back and you say, this is a nuisance, this isn't dangerous, or whatever. You know, I'm bumping it down and I'm just gonna handle it.
Chihuahua near you that you.
Right, so,
But just
I have a
because
chihuahua I do not
just
like-
because
does not
it's
like me.
initiated as dangerous doesn't mean that that's where it winds up.
No,
Right.
there are, in 2019, clearly there was a dog,
oh, that dog was dangerous.
very dangerous. It bit several times.
So, did it bite you? No, never mind, don't answer that question.
Yeah.
So, all right, can you, because I blame all of them, not myself, I'm not taking any credit for this. Can you read that wording that we kind of worked through, or I can make it up?
Sure, so, upon a complaint for a dangerous or nuisance dog, the town administrator will cause an investigation and make a determination of whether the definition of dangerous has been met on the face of the complaint. And if the dog is complained of as being dangerous, the hearing authority shall be the select board. And if the dog is complained of as being a nuisance or on the face of the complaint, dangerous has not been met, the hearing authority shall be the town administrator.
So moved.
Second.
So,
Second.
One
For
discussion?
Yep.
When the language you said you would make the determination of nuisance or dangerous on the face of the complaint. Would you rather change that to the investigation and the face of the complaint?
Sure, I love that, combined, through
Yeah.
yes.
this is a-
Take that all back.
I
Moved and so moved.
And
Okay.
Seconded.
seconded, yes.
Okay, so we have, again,
Motion and
well,
second.
motion and second,
Also,
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You guys are killing me tonight. No, it's okay.
So you don't have to kill any dogs.
We'll
Love
just,
that for me.
I'm making Raj do that one. All right, so, next one, I am jumping to old business. It's listed here. So the approval of the ADA self-evaluation and transition plan. Reading through this, the draft American and Disabilities Act ADA self-evaluation and transition plan was placed online and on social media on July 20th, 2023. At that time, public comment was open for a period of time and public comment closed on August 19th, 2023. And based on that, we had 0 people
That's correct.
provide any public comment on that transition plan. That
That's-
is actually pretty sad.
That's
I
correct.
have to honestly tell you, it's very sad based on the amount of money, the things that were on there and what we put together.
And the level of interest in.
Right, the interest in general.
Having this done.
The interest in having it done, the timeliness and the battery on social media and in public,
I would
that
only
nothing.
hope that it's because our self-evaluation and transition plan was so thorough that.
That's
that-
the
That must
only,
be it.
that's the only conclusion
Yep.
we've drawn.
It is
All right.
pretty thorough, actually.
It is, I'd have to say it's pretty good. So the plan was amended in section 6.4 to address the public comment period. The entire document is 180 pages. It is not included in this packet, we don't care about that. So the request in front of us tonight is to approve the final ADA self-evaluation and transition plan.
So moved.
Second.
Now it is open for discussion. Do we have any discussion, Mark?
Can we extend the comments period?
No. No, I can't answer that. I was just saying. Did you want to submit a comment? Discussion over. All right. All in favor? Aye. Beautiful. Great job, everyone. All right. So this is one I think I actually asked for, isn't it?
You did.
So I asked, in our last meeting, which seems like forever ago, we have 180 pages. I did read the 180 pages on a flight one day. Wanted to die, but I read it online. I asked for a list because I work more on a shorter list, and my hope with the list when I asked for it was to, now that we have a person working here
Facilities.
part-time in facilities, I thought you were knocking. I'm like, do you have a question?
I'm just making my papers perfect.
So a facilities person, maybe we could start
Sorry.
we could start a plan for him to maybe chip away some of those because the bill's very high and some of these seem ridiculous. Like changing the height of plastic shelves that are taped to a wall. So you did that. I've seen the list.
And so in addition, I had a meeting with him today and he has more things that he's checked off that aren't on what I transmitted to you. So I can supplement that as well.
That I think is great. And I don't know if you guys had a chance to go through it, but I'm guessing this was a short list. There's probably also a larger, extensive list. The one thing that I was kind of thinking in this is bucketing out what can he do, what do we have to actually
Contract out.
contract out or get approval for, like going through some of the things. What can we have people in the school, like some of the folks in the school that are doing work, can they do it? So that was my thought here. So I'm guessing this is what's been done to date and there's gonna be more of an extensive
Yes,
look at that.
so, he's done some more work at the library,
Great.
in terms of the bathrooms. Once we get, so some of the things he definitely can do on his own, but they have a cost associated with them to do.
Okay.
And so that's above and beyond kind of what's been budgeted, except that we have that $75,000 earmark for ADA upgrades for municipal buildings, which we have not received the paperwork on yet. So that will kind of open the door for additional work that he can do in-house or contract out.
What I also liked about this, and I don't know if this is possible, is I get a lot of feedback from residents, like, you have this thing, what are you doing? When are you executing? When are you gonna get that done? Same thing with fields. When are you gonna mow that field? I'm like, I don't even mow my own house. You can blame the Jim will mow the field. I'll send him over. But this I thought was a good way for us when we talk to folks to say, hey, we did this, we put together that plan, and we're executing to that plan, see what we've done.
And I think one of the biggest accomplishments on this list that the picture doesn't reflect, but I would encourage board members or members of the public that are interested to go look at, is the space that was created outside of the DPW building.
Yep.
So if you can picture in your mind's eye the door to the stairwell at the DPW building, and then there is a space to the left that historically the DPW director was parking in, that he can no longer park in. That has now been striped and signed for a parking space, an accessible parking space, and a large sign was ordered that has been affixed to the side of the building, alerting folks that the building hours, and that the office is accessible by stairs, and that if folks are not able to ambulate, here's the phone number, and we will come and provide you car side assistance. So just as a reminder, with an ADA transition plan, it's not to make every space necessarily accessible, it's to make our programs and services accessible. So now there is a very visible change to the DPW.
So is that information available online, or can we,
This is new. We just, like, this was, I asked in the last meeting, so it got put together.
well, so my question was kind of leading to that perhaps that's an opportunity to communicate our progress along the accessibility,
Sure.
report.
I was just thinking like that for us kinda, we always put together master plans and things like that, and then they always say to us, we spent tens of thousands of dollars doing
What
this,
are we doing?
and what did you do with it?
Right.
And then it's like, well, now it's outdated, we're actually gonna redo it again, can you give us $35,000 this time? I also love here, I'm just gonna call out that the town clerk's office, there was a monitor that needed to be moved, and she moved it herself, so I mean, I'm gonna go with, that's a good job for her, if you, let them know. But, so some of these I think also calls out, I think it's gonna, if we can find a way to consolidate and communicate it out, we might see in department head meetings, them say, wait a second, like some of these are like, I needed to move a desk 3 inches. They didn't know that. They're like, I'm gonna go back. When I get done with your meeting, I'm gonna go back and move the desk 3 inches.
Yeah.
I'll send you a picture.
But that's kind of my point, which is so much of this stuff is just really easy fix. It doesn't involve a whole lot of money, and it's just about rethinking how we approach our service delivery, rethinking about how we, approach accessibility.
I love it. I think it's great. Our town administrator's probably like, leave me alone when I'm putting together another list for you.
Being involved in this process, I think one of the first meetings that I had was with Mike Edwards of the Collins Center when I found out about the status of Pride Park, and I called him and I said, Mike, I know you're doing this transition plan, but I need immediate help on Pride Park. What is the story? So from then until now, I have learned so much about this space, and I think that it really has come into everything that we do and every service that we deliver. And at department head meetings, we must talk about it, if not at every meeting, every other meeting.
They must love that, by the way. That must be great
But
for
they
them.
are also just, it's becoming habitual that, the way we're posting things online or what.
The education, and I think that was part of my thought when reading some of this was, we're educating them, and the next time they do something, they're gonna refer back to, I remember we did something on that. We do it all the time. I'm like, Raj, you remember you were doing that? Mark's like, well, I was on the planning board, we did this. I think by having the education and the knowledge, hey, next time you put that desk, you need to have it at this.
Right.
When you're putting something in, you need to have marked spaces. Some of the things like grab bars that are blocking things, I'm not sure what happened there, but I mean, they're department heads. I think of the chief of police, he's not thinking of the accessibility of the building,
It's the same thing with OSHA compliance too.
Yep.
I mean, it's, all that stuff, but it also helps educate the community that these are things that we're doing so that we don't find ourselves in that oppositional place where we're shutting everything down to make it, that's a distraction and keeps us from actually delivering services and actually making sure that our community is open and welcome and that
Right.
folks
We're
feel
trying.
we're trying here, and we're not trying to have an adversarial sort of
And-
relationship.
On this kind of subject matter, I'm sorry.
No, I thought you were gonna say something.
I was gonna just
Agree with-
jump right on and say, maybe we should make a thank you at the beginning of the next town meeting, which is in the gym, that the reason we did it is because of this.
Absolutely.
So I like that. I agree with everything, we're saying even about OSHA, cause it's like a constant, every couple months, they make us, they make you go through random things. It might be good at the town meeting. I think it would be great for you to kind of, you know, this is what we're doing, this is how our town is, because what I'm hearing a lot is like, we're not proactive and we're not trying to be inclusive, when the reality is, hey, we took something and we acted on it and we're figuring out how to make the plan. It might not be perfect, but here's what we were doing, and we're doing this because we care about you.
But
And-
point it out, you know, at the town
And I
meeting.
think we need to. I think
So-
it's gonna be great.
Kind of on this accessibility topic, which I know I've transmitted to the select board privately, but there is the ADA project grant that is open now. And this is something that if we didn't have this plan, you can't even submit an application for. I'm getting quotes. I have kind of two, I don't want to say publicly what project I'm leaning, but I have kind of two streams of thought for which project. I have quotes for both. I just got the second set of quotes today. So that's a source for us to kind of chomp off if we are awarded the grant,
This
of
is the
course.
50 to 250 range ones you did mention?
Correct. We're able to chomp off some of those bigger projects that can't be done in-house. And those doors were closed to us prior to having this work done, so.
I think this also, in another board type meeting setting, because we have this, which I knew nothing about this going into it, I was just like, what do you mean we don't have it? I think it educated a lot of other boards, because someone said, hey, we put a handicap door in, but then we didn't actually put anything in to open it. You'd have to get out of a chair and open the door. Why would we have done that? And I'm like, I have no clue, but I think it educated them. I also wonder, I get a lot of our university and schools are building accessible playgrounds in and around even the Worcester area. There were a couple, and I think it's because they have this and they can apply to the university, and the university has engineering departments to do the workups, and they have actual, I think there's one down on Lake Ave, like by Quinsigamon Lake that they just did, and it's like
Just off,
granted.
what, Plantation Street?
Yeah, so I think there's a sign out there, I know we weren't by it, but there were a few colleges like Holy Cross that has done, I think, two. In the past, our school has benefited from, we did like an assessment of the library, and like Hanover Insurance said, we're opening up a bunch of private grants. You tell us how much you want for books, we will give you that money in cash, and you go buy your books. And it was because we had done something like this. I think this opens up doors for other things that we wouldn't have, besides saying we need it,
Yeah, so
wouldn't get.
I definitely want to thank Nancy Lucia for starting this process, and I hope that she's proud of how far it's come.
All right, go ahead.
I think, you know, these are all the smaller changes, but people will be asking, what about the, you know, bigger changes? We do need so much money
Yeah,
to go touch those projects.
And-
Even in the town hall, some of the projects, we do need a lot of money.
And that's in if folks want to look at the plan, that's directly addressed in the plan,
Yeah.
that the plan is for some of these large-scale projects, we cannot do it
Yep.
without either a debt exclusion or outside funding, and that's the plan, is that we can't do
It will-
this on our own.
But
Yeah,
see,
it
that's-
will take months, years and years. Some of the projects, we may not be able to do it for this town of this
but we at
size.
least are saying we're we're noting that, we're
We're-
telling you.
Look, we just talked about the fact that there were no comments on this
Yep.
plan, right? Why is that? There's no community engagement on that, maybe they don't know about it, maybe, we don't know, but there's a lack of community engagement. So what this does is this communicates out, hey, we got this stuff, we're not just coming to you for no reason.
Yep.
For these dollars, or here's our thinking about this budgetary expense. It's right there, and this is a great way to engage community, say, these are the things we're working towards, this is why we need money, or
Yep.
this is what we're doing with your cash. So, and these are the choices we're making. I think that's really
Agreed.
important.
Totally agree.
All right, well, if there's no other items, I'm gonna jump to the next one, which doesn't seem to fit in this order for the next meeting. Report on marijuana establishment host community agreement.
Yes, so, Mr. Crowley had asked for this item. I actually pulled this data. I had informed the board that I had reached out to the CCC. They gave me back the same data that I reported to you today, this evening. So, we have the potential of 7 entities. two of those entities, Evergreen Strategies LLC, which had both a manufacturer and cultivator license that was on Hartwell Street, are only at the provisional licensure stage. I did, when they finally responded to me today, and Faye had been reaching out to them for weeks, I said, can you inform me what stage of provisional licensure are they at? Is there something, is it acquisition of property, whatever the case may be, to find out some more details about them. And I also asked about Harmony of Mass, which was the marijuana retailer on Shrewsbury Street. They're still showing them on their books as active. So have they received any notification? I did go on their website and it is down. I know that there is no power to the building. I drove to the building last evening to see if there was any signage on the doors indicating that they had closed. There is not. There was two of, I don't know how many of their directors resigned from the corporation. That was in April. That was posted on the Secretary of State's website. But I asked in my follow-up to the CCC, what is the notification requirements to a community that somebody is no longer operational? You know, can they just walk back in someday and turn the lights back on? I would like to find out more information. So once I get more information, if we could put this one back on so I can provide that. But we do have Fathom Cannabis, which is also on Shrewsbury Street, has a cultivation and manufacturing license. They're both been given the commence operation. So they are fully active. And Campfire Cannabis, also known as Ganesh Wellness, has a retailer and product manufacturer.
I have one comment on the other one. I am told that currently that property has been offered to nearby property owners, and it is actively being marketed for sale. So I know we received something from someone that got first right of refusal if they would like to purchase it. I'm wondering, maybe our question posed back is, the building is for sale. If it is sold, it does not come with the community pack agreement.
No, that's.
But that's where it's like, I almost want to establish, like, they might not be contacting us, the building is for sale, from what I am told. I have not actually gone to a website to check it, but.
It was my understanding that the owners of Harmony didn't actually own that building.
No, it's
That
the,
Fuller owns the
Yes.
building.
yes, and he's.
And he sold the company, and,
Right, sold the company. but
which
kept
came
the
with,
land.
in that spot, it went with Cannabis Control. They had to change the license over and stuff like
Right.
that.
So I'm wondering if asking Fuller if that property is indeed up for sale, and if they no longer have the lease with Fuller, then that I think changes our conversation, because that property is no longer being leased by that tenant. So then in turn, with our community pack agreement, they can't actually be in operation. We should pull that back.
The next step there is we have a limit on our number of licenses is 2. So if that one frees up, a whole new.
Well, I'm thinking just like the liquor license we had a year ago, 2 years ago now, where the person did not get back to us, refused to give up their liquor license, and we took a vote to remove that from the business.
Yeah,
Hey, but CCC still has the license.
they're the
right, for,
licensing authority, CCC.
So they have still, it is operational based on CCC.
Well, more information will be forthcoming.
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Did that free yours up? So the next item on here is Pride Park opening results for August 22, 2023, bid opening approval of bidder and execution of agreement with the approved bidder. So we opened up on the 22nd. We've had 3 folks,
3 bids.
3 bids come back in, and I can read off the 3, or do you want to kind of go into the details?
Sure. So Page Contracting of Grafton was the low bidder at $509,000. Sumco of Peabody was second at $774,000, and Busy Bee Nursery of Jefferson was at $787,820. The estimate that we had received from Weston and Sampson prior to going out to bid was at $518,414. So Page Contracting does seem to be within that ballpark. The references in Grafton, they provided references in the 2 projects in Grafton had most of the similar elements. to this type of work. The references came back good. The other references were contacted, except for the $36,000 project. And we have not received any return call on those, but all told, this does appear to be the most responsive eligible bidder, and there's no reason to bypass the low bid that I can see. So what I am asking the select board to do tonight is first to authorize me to enter into a contract with Page Contracting on behalf of the town of West Boylston, subject to approval of the form of the contract by town council.
So moved.
Can I,
So we got a motion and a second on
Second.
the floor, but let's
Question.
open it, yeah, let's
Question.
open the discussion.
so the Page Contracting, you did not receive all the references.
So Page Contracting, when they originally submitted their bid, there were no references
Yeah.
included. So I actually reached out to the Chapter 30B hotline to see if that was disqualifying. And they said that that would be deemed a minor omission and to give them 24 hours to provide the references. So that's why on that bid sheet, there's that asterisk. So they did within 24 hours provide the references. And the references were all called, except for the one with the $36,000 project, but we only reached Grafton. But the Grafton is where they did playground work, the other projects weren't playground projects, and the reference from Grafton came back good.
It's a municipal project?
Yes,
So, the other two bids seem like wildly out of proportion. Are they responding to something different? And they're close too, right? So they're not that far off from each other. So is there something that were they responding to something different than Page was?
well, so the invitation for bid was the same, they all received the same materials. I have an educated guess of why the bids were high, I can't guarantee, but my guess is that we have a very aggressive timeline for completion, which is being driven by the port in place can only go in certain temperature requirements. So it's our intended completion date is November 4th. We know we might need to give some extensions, but this early in the year, not knowing what the weather is gonna be right now, we wanna keep it as close to November 4th as possible to make sure those temperatures are okay. I did hear, and I say that that's an educated guess because I heard from other bidders who did not end up submitting bids, that the timeline for them to complete the project was too tight.
I also, so part of what I looked at this was so we hired a company to tell us how much to put together the plan, architectural plan, also tell us how much this should cost us, so that way we didn't get ripped off or do this wrong, and it wasn't gonna be $250,000 as, we kind of made up on the fly. They were at $518,414, and that's Weston and Sampson said, this is what it's gonna cost you to do this kind of playground. I was a little shocked that, well, my first thought was, did they do it wrong? Because these people are $200,000 over that. Or is there just something else at play? And I think of even privately roof windows, you always get 3 estimates. You get some guy that's over here who's like, I don't even want to do yours because it's not worth it and I have too much on my plate.
Right.
Or you get the guy that's like, I don't have that much work, I want the job, maybe it gives you a different opportunity, and you usually go for the guy in the middle. My issue with this is
There's no middle.
there is no real middle, and if I say we should go with the higher one and try to establish more money, then we also throw out the door, then why did we, but I'm just thinking,
We're also not
so
allowed
we
to do
couldn't,
that.
we can't do that,
yeah.
I know. But I'm just thinking, then it kind of throws out that we don't believe in what we were provided by Weston and Sampson. There's this thing, I understand we can't unless we reopen the bid and start this process all over again.
If you look at the tennis and basketball courts we did a dozen years ago or so, the same thing happened. There were bids that were so far above everyone else, and then from memory, I think there were 2 bids that were fairly, we got more than 3, there were 2 bids that were fairly close. And the police station, if you look at the bids for the police station, there were some that were just way, way, way higher. It's just the nature of municipal bidding, it's what happens.
Okay. Any other?
It's nuts.
I don't know.
The only thing that looks weird there, that I would suppose, maybe it's there's something that they think they have to do that they don't have to, like, they have to pay for the port in place or something like that. I mean, it just seems like they didn't ask for the clarification, so.
It was hundreds of pages of bid documents
Yeah.
that included that information. I can't
No,
speak
I know,
to
but
how
it just
well
seems like
they
that
read
might be
it.
like a misunderstanding that.
They said, the owner said we have to make an additional 250,000 profit.
Or that,
Contract,
right.
I'm almost coming at it from the other side, which is maybe these guys know something that Paige doesn't about that timeline. Like, is
Yeah, but I don't
it
think we can
overly
add-
aggressive?
So our options are to either
'Cause
execute a contract with the low bidder, or to not execute any
Any
contracts, go back out to bid with a spring timeline.
Cause we can't go back to them and ask them questions without
Yeah,
using
no,
and then rebidding,
I mean,
reopening.
look, Weston and Sampson, part of our construction administration is making sure that these guys stay on point and aren't doing a substandard job, because what I'm really concerned about is that port in place, right? So, I mean, yeah,
It seems like that's our insurance, is
That's
that
our
Western
insurance,
Sampson
yeah.
is the ones
So-
on.
We also have a performance bond.
Is it?
I just hate, because we've been waiting so long to get this done. The town deserves this, the kids deserve this. It already, the fact that we're gonna have a grand opening, or we're gonna have this done just in time for winter, it just sounds, is mind-boggling, but, I
Is that a
really.
motion?
No,
He sounded like he was making it.
I already made a motion.
Yeah,
We're just
Okay.
gonna vote.
Yeah, we're just discussion.
It's just, I want this to be perfect, and
Well,
We all do.
it is public construction, so it is never perfect.
got that.
But as perfect as we can be, and that's why I think it makes sense to hire, which is the second thing, to hire Weston and Sampson to handle the construction
Go ahead, it's
administration.
discussion time.
Did, what?
I said it's discussion time, you have to raise your hand.
Okay. Did we ask Weston Sampson if they're familiar with these projects and the Page people?
No, that would not be customary.
I don't know.
I'm
Just
just,
because they're on the fence, I mean, they don't even have big projects.
Weston and Sampson does also a lot of projects that are closer to Boston.
Okay.
This is somebody coming out of Grafton. I don't know if they'd be familiar with them, but
it's just, what's their experience level if they've got one playground?
I can say the other references had, for the other bidders, I'm trying to go off the top of my head here. One had no playground experience, if I recall correctly.
Okay,
That was Busy Bee Nursery out of Jefferson.
I don't recall.
Okay.
And one, I believe, had one or two.
All right, so
Oh, so
So
we're,
we're kinda in line then.
equivalently experienced.
Unless you want to give the 200 more dollars.
I'm cool,
All right, so any further discussion? In front of us is a motion and a second to authorize the town administrator to enter into a contract with Page.
I'm sorry, I got one more thing. Does the bid documents, or will the contract have liquidated damages if they don't make this timeline that are steep?
No, because we know the timeline is going to be exceeded. So we know November 4th. It's just how much can we exceed past November 4th?
based on.
I'm talking,
based on
they drag their
temperature.
feet and there's snow on the ground and we don't have this port in place until March. What happens?
Okay, I will get that with council.
especially because if they just get past the temperature, but that makes us push the port in place out 6 months, it might get wrecked in the
Yeah.
meantime. You
We
know?
wouldn't be able to use it with no port in place there.
But nonetheless, I don't know, the weather, I don't know what wrecks them. I mean, erosion,
Just-
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You could- that-
you know, what if they install the equipments and then,
And then we have to tell the
Rain
kids,
the
no, no playing.
That's right.
That's actually, you two are gonna be assigned to
Yeah.
stand outside yelling at the children, no.
No.
we'll send the J.
Can I wear my,
No
can I
playground
hold
for
my
you.
Christina Pedoni sign?
Yeah, that's fine. I burned all mine, but go for it. All right,
We'll make
so I'm, I don't even know where I am. So I have a
Just vote.
motion and a second. The discussion's done. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next item here is authorizing the town administrator to enter into a contract with Western and Son on behalf of the town of West Boylston for construction administration services.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion point, I really like this because I always hear that our town officials are going to project manage a project and then, no offense to any of us, it doesn't happen, it's late, it's $2,000 over budget, it's $1 million over budget, and 15 things didn't get done, and we're like, sorry about that.
This is,
I have a day job.
this is how we avoid things not getting done
Yep.
I think we
correctly.
have to have based on the dollar amounts, we have to have a construction admin, don't we?
We don't normally.
No, but
We didn't have the parks
it's
either.
ill-advised. This is not, this is not my wheelhouse,
The
this is
tennis
not the
courts didn't have
DPW
it.
director's wheelhouse.
You had a project manager?
Yes, he lives in
Tony.
town.
Tony?
There was a project manager for the town.
Did we pay a town
We
project
paid,
manager?
For what?
he lives over
To
on,
project manage the tennis courts owner?
yes, there was a project manager. We had a project manager for tennis
For
basketball.
the senior center we have.
I'm talking the tennis basketball courts. We 100% had a project manager. He lives,
Okay,
going out of town, take a right, Colangelo was his last name.
I wanna see what we paid that guy, cause now this is great. And they're saying we had one for the senior center that wasn't the board that told me
Oh,
that was the
We had a
board.
Tony DeLucio,
Yep.
project manager.
Well, this sounds
Wasn't
great.
there
Now we're
two?
gonna have another
Wallace
one.
project manager,
Now
Yeah,
we're
wasn't there an
having
OPM and a PM?
OPM.
OPM and a project manager by the, just the.
I think that's great. All right, any further discussion on this topic?
Wait, did we vote on the second thing?
Yes, we have a motion and a second. We're about to.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mark, you're killing us tonight. All right, so we are making progress. I am laughing here. All right, so next item is appointments and registration. Acknowledge
Resignation.
resignation. I'm appointing the person.
Is that
You-
registration?
No, I'm gonna do registration instead. Resignation of Paul, is it Bonson?
Bonson.
From the Finance Committee and Capital Investment Board. So we're just, this is just
Acknowledge it.
acknowledging it.
Where's the
Okay.
guy from
Saban
cemetery? No, we can get him on, you can get him on there.
Would you wanna just appoint him now?
Yeah, we
without a
should.
note? Okay,
No, we have-
no. But it's a great
We
thought.
have it,
You
we
should
have this application,
you
we'll just
take
change the line.
action- You take the action of just redoing it. All right, concurrent on the town administrator's appointment of, no, what's next? Sorry, I missed something.
No food, we pulled the food service manager off.
Yep, so I, why are you being like Mark right now? All right, concurrence on the town administrator appointment of Nicole Farage, not Nikki, right? To the celebrations committee effective September sixth, 2023, for a term to expire on June 30th, 2025.
So moved.
I get a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second.
Trying to catch up.
Only discussion item on this, I read the, application, and I wanna thank Pat for doing what we do best. If you show up to a meeting, we will get you on that board or committee. So, thank you. Mark, that's why you're in charge of getting Bob on the other stuff. All right, any other further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. All right, so, town administrator report, I'm putting a timing now, it's 8:26, go.
It's very short. So, I had informed the board that we had received a grant for $105,000, but I couldn't tell you what it was because it was embargoed, so, but now I can tell you what it is. So, you may recall back in the fall or the winter that Kevin Duffy was applying for the MVP Action Grant. So we did receive $105,000 for the project titled Resilient Streams of the Wachusett Reservoir. And so this is looking at flooding events, our culvert conditions, and to develop flood models for roads, floodplains, et cetera. So I want to thank you and congratulate DPW Director Kevin Duffy for spearheading in this grant effort.
This doesn't go against your time, I guess we'll let him go.
The MVP grant, can that money go towards the culvert work down on Prescott about near the train?
No.
Why?
No. So this was a very specific grant application that looked at modeling the entire town, and it has to be used for
Whatever.
that
All right, good.
purpose. But good job.
Good job to
try.
Kevin Duffy, tell him thank you from the Board of Selectmen is what Mark meant to say.
Isn't that what I said?
Yeah, I think so,
That's
that was pretty
exactly what you
close,
said.
yep.
I think we'll have some good data on where we are, though, for future infrastructure for culvert especially, which is what we hope to get out of this. Recreations Director discussion. So last night, members of the Parks Commission and myself met with the town of Boylston. We had some offline meetings previously, but we had a more formal meeting last night. Still don't know where these are gonna go about merging, recreation with Boylston and West Boylston, other than to say, and we're gonna be publicly announcing that Boylston recreation events are absolutely open to West Boylston residents. They have been, they will continue to be, but we're gonna say it more formally. So, we look forward to sharing, Boylston's events with
I
West
love that.
Boylston. And the community hosted, so not town hosted, but community hosted townwide yard sale is going to be held on September 10th, 2023 from 8 AM to 2 PM. We're getting a lot of calls from the community wondering where the map is, and from what I understand, that comes out the day of the event or close thereto. And it is dropped off at Town Hall, but it is not a town-sponsored event. So, please wait to see what the stops are, and that is it.
Right.
How'd I do on time?
You, 3 minutes with 1 disruption.
I'm sure you
But
can
it was a
tighten
good
that up.
disruption, I'm gonna have fun with it. All right, so, meeting, invitation, and announcement. As we noted, semi-annual town meeting is Monday, October 16th at 7 PM at the Middle High School Gymnasium. Also, I did see that there is an email that is out to folks to return their reports. I'm hoping if there is a last call there, do we just,
So I'm included in that. I'm a
You
guilty
did?
party.
Okay.
I owe my report as well.
awesome.
I think with the financial reports, getting them printed for fall town meeting
Might be difficult,
tough.
but
So
we thought that would happen. We knew that would be difficult on this round. All right, next one, I'm gonna give this to you because the celebrations committee is running it.
All right, Fall Fest is Saturday, October 21st, from 11 to 5. The agenda says volunteers needed. What we're really looking for, if anybody wants to volunteer, is day of the help setup. I have not reached out to them yet, but I do plan on asking the National Honor Society students. They did that last year. All right, some of the things that are going to happen at the Fall Fest. There's going to be a dunk tank with teachers in it. I will find out on the 13th who those teachers are going to be. If any select board members would like to volunteer, you're welcome to sit in the dunk tank.
Gosh,
You don't have to give me answers on it yet. There's going to be a pie eating contest. All of these are free.
Yeah.
I'll do that one.
Mark's up.
All of these events are gonna be free. Well, the dunk tank, you're gonna have to, if you're in grade school, you get 1 free ball. After that, 1 ball for $5, 10 balls for, 1 ball for $5, 3 balls for $10.
Quick question.
Yes.
If a select board member does step forward, can we change pricing?
$100.
We've
$100
already got a,
Because, I mean, there'd be a line for me.
there's-
I would create a line.
all right, let me get through this.
All right, go ahead, go ahead.
So the pricing would be residents and then other people that work with you?
Yes.
Okay, all right, got it.
There's going to be a pie eating contest, there's gonna be face painting, we're gonna be doing the scarecrow contest again, we're gonna be doing the pumpkin painting contest. There's also that's where you show up with the pumpkin, there's also gonna be pumpkin painting station with the little pumpkins for the kids. There is going to be a shuttle bus from parking, as there was last year. The schoolyard is gonna have games set up. There's gonna be trick-or-treating for the kids. There's gonna be some sort of a demonstration from the YMCA, I'm not exactly sure what that's gonna be, and there is going to be a karate, well, that's what we're talking about.
It's the song.
I think it's called Tenpo, the karate people that were there last year are doing it again, and there's going to be a band the entire time. There are currently 45 vendors, 4 confirmed food trucks, probably gonna be 6 food trucks, and the footprint is going to be expanded so that it crosses the street, and the food trucks are gonna be on the town common where you have the memorial flagpole. So that's what we have. There's gonna be a lot more that's gonna come out on that, with all the details and the timing of, we're not gonna have the karate demonstration at the same time as the pie eating contest, so we gotta come up with a timeline. More to follow on that, so just mark your calendars. It was a lot of fun last year, and we're gonna get the same 75-degree day with no rain that we had last year.
Oh, great.
And we tried to do a beer Kent didn't work, stay tuned for that next year. My last thing is September 15th, is the last movie night at the Common, also free, and there are free snacks that are provided from a grant from Walmart. On the Facebook Neighbors Connect page, you can vote for what that movie is going to be. I don't know what the
trend is right now.
I don't know what they are, no, I don't know what
What
the
the movies
choices are
are.
at this
I heard
point.
some Jungle
Um,
Cruise.
But that starts at dusk on September 15th. That's the last of 4 scheduled, but it will only be the second one because 2 of them were rained out, and that's all I have.
That is great, and thank you for that. Is there any other future agenda items or select board report? You can go
I
ahead.
just remembered, the economic development was gonna forward something so that we would write a, what do we call them? Commendation? Did you get something from them? Right. All right, no, Sarah, she said that. Okay, that's all.
For a new business that's opening, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
that H and J and E or something like that, I don't know.
It's like a home decor store
Yeah.
on Route 12.
Oh, I love
New
that.
Subway.
I need that. All right, on that note, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, your first
Second.
motion. All right, all in favor?
Aye.